Welcome to the Boston Art Podcast,
Boston's premier art podcast,
where we talk art, culture, and philosophy.
My name is Theodore Earthworms.
And I am Brian Huntress.
Welcome to the show.
So, hopefully this isn't jostly.
Yeah, this is our first time recording with new mics.
We're testing out our new lapel microphones.
Post-Christmas drip.
Post-Christmas drip. Post-Christmas drip is real. So it's the end of the year.
Well,
This
the start of the year.
Okay, yeah. So, just top of the show. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I dropped my drink. I don't want to do a driving episode.
Why? We always do a driving episode.
Okay, fine.
We're going to rebrand us?
We're rebranding. So, what's interesting about this is that now I'm not holding the recorder. 2 hands on the wheel, 10 and 2. Everyone's safe. Are you fucking with your mic?
I touched it! I'm sorry!
Dude.
It unclipped.
It was perfectly set up exactly where it was.
I'm sorry. I'm putting it back. It fell off.
This is...
I can't...
This is your problem.
I'm having a hard time.
This is the problem.
Alright, is this better? Does the sound look like it's clipping now?
See, I don't have a monitor, dude.
Shit.
Don't fuck with it.
Shit.
Don't fuck with it again. Leave it exactly where it is.
Should we sound check again?
No.
It looks like it's quieter than it was before now. But I also was being quieter. Maybe...
You're fine. Just
Okay,
relax.
okay.
Stop talking about
Sorry!
it. Don't touch it again.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I love you.
I love you too.
So, top of the show, it's the end of the year. This
The
is the
beginning
end
of the year.
2022 season.
Yeah, that's true.
Then again, we actually did decide mentally and internally this is actually the completion of season 3. Do you remember that? Because at the beginning of the Touching Roots series, we were like, no, it's season 3 now, because we decided that we didn't like our middle outro. Because we had the original outro that was like all the
Oh, yeah.
and then we switched to the stupid one.
We had a pretty egregious intro for a bit.
Yeah, and now we have a pretty profesh intro.
Yeah, I like our current one. I don't know, thinking about it retroactively, I think the first year that we did the podcast was definitely season 1.
Yes.
Like that we can agree upon.
Yes.
And was broken up when we did our hiatus.
True.
Then we started season 2.
Yeah.
I don't really see a clear delineation between seasons 2 and 3 in terms of what we've been releasing and recording. But in our minds, I think we were like, this is season 3.
So why don't we strike that from the record?
Maybe each year is a season?
We've concluded season 2.
Alright. That means nothing. It means literally nothing, but whatever.
I feel like very, very rusty. I feel like we haven't done this type of programming in a while.
Me too. You can't get 2 in your head, though. You can't be
I got
too
1
meta
foot in
about
my
it.
head and 1 foot out right now.
Yeah, 1 foot in your head. That doesn't sound comfortable.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, get your feet out of there.
Alright, I get the dogs out of my brain.
Ew. Alright. Weird territory with the body horror analogy.
So,
so what's up, Brian?
this is not working. This is so stupid.
I think we're funny and cute, so we should just keep going.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we're
But
the
it's
best.
the end of the year. You know what might
It's
be...
the beginning of the year. You keep glass half emptying us.
Oh.
It's January 1st, bro.
January 1st, 2023.
It's the beginning of some new horizons.
We're celebrating the anniversary of
our friendship.
the January 6th insurrection.
No.
Because the anniversary of our show is the same day, pretty much.
All right. Well, we met 3 years ago on New Year's Eve. So that's what I was celebrating. January 7th of 2021 was our first episode release.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to think about that because we met and then started a podcast like almost immediately.
That's not completely true. I mean, we were hanging out every single day for like 7 months. For like months.
Yeah.
And then
That's true, I guess.
we decided to do a show.
Oh man, if we had started the podcast a month earlier, we could have made some episodes during our COVID quarantine.
Yeah.
When we both got COVID, pre-vax, and thought we were gonna die.
Hey.
Yeah.
About the direction of this episode.
Okay.
Do you want to dive right into our core programming for this piece here?
You want to? You don't want to riff a little
I kind
bit?
of think it might be fun because I'm kind of struggling to riff right now, and overthinking
Well, that's what
it.
I think.
And I'm kind of thinking, okay, should we riff longer so that I stop acting weird?
Yeah, a riff is a warm up. The riff is like the treadmill sesh at the beginning of your day in the gym. Yeah,
We go to the gym now.
we do. We've been in the gym twice.
Mm.
YMCA.
Why would you say that?
What? There's a lot of them. They don't know when we're there.
We go to Planet Fitness.
I don't know.
Damn.
All right. I'm taking control of the riffing.
Okay.
Because you're making me a little nervous.
I'm being
taking
weird.
Control of it.
I'm being weird.
You drove us to a random parking lot.
Yeah.
Where there's a car idling. It's kind of.
I just don't want to be driving anymore. It's stressing me out.
Do you not want to do a driving cast? Do you want to find somewhere that we can park that isn't creepy and horrible like this?
No, I'm parking in a creepy, horrible place because that's what matches my mood.
Well, all right. Brian's being emo today.
I'm mentally creepy and horrible right now.
I kind of wish we had a little snack.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit hungry. I just need to relax for a minute, like staring at the road and shit. Yeah. And I'm anxious about the lapel mics. I'm not gonna lie, they're freaking me out.
I think they're doing okay.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
I mean, if the episode comes out with shit quality, it's just us, so we could just record it again. It's pretty hard to recapture the magic, though, so... I don't know. You want to get right into it?
Yeah.
Let's start with...
Pull out your phone.
My phone?
And go to the Spotify. This is what I want to do.
Oh.
So, to end the year and begin the year at the same time, the duality of death and birth in our everyday life, you know, once a year... We fucking get so hyped up because the Earth spun once. Or is it the Earth spun a rotation? No, that's a day.
What is the thing?
And then the Earth goes around the sun. That's a year. Is that the correct...
Damn, I just scrolled pretty fast in here, and it feels like there's not that many episodes in this year.
This is...
There are, though.
This is episode 86.
That's fucking nuts.
It's absolutely fucking crazy. So, what we want to do to celebrate our latest achievement of concluding another year of the show is to, just like last year, shout out and discuss every episode we've done this year.
All right.
So why don't we kick it out? Let's dive right into it. What was our first episode of 2022?
Well, the first episode of 2022, pretty predictably, was our first year anniversary of the show, where we clipped in some old recordings. We just jumped to random parts of different episodes, which we will not be doing this episode, because if you listen to that one, it was really anxiety inducing because we didn't prepare beforehand. We were just dropping right in. Yeah. One thing that I do want to highlight though about that was kind of cool is part of the reason that it was so stressful to listen to was because we were getting called out directly, because for some of them we dropped into episodes that were just the two of us, and we like dropped right into like us having like horrible communication or like bickering over something. Which is not a big deal, but it felt like we were on blast trying to live respond to that with no prep.
Well, also, we accidentally, so there's another layer to that episode that was complicated in that we chopped up a lot of it and cut out a bunch of stuff that we felt like wasn't, that didn't make sense to include in the episode.
Did we really?
We did. We cut out a bunch of shit, yes.
Damn, I forgot already.
Because it was... because we had to figure... we had to
get our shit together.
We had to get our shit together, and that was awkward.
We were also sitting in a Target parking lot, like really hungry and stressed out.
That was actually later in the episode, but that's not important.
Oh, really? We were driving around?
But, as I was saying, I'm freaking the fuck out.
You're doing good. Everything's fine.
The fuck out.
It's in your head. You're good.
Oh, I'm so much anxiety.
It's because it's a new episode. We just started. You gotta wait for the 20 minutes rule.
I'm having anxiety.
You gotta wait for the 20 minutes rule.
Anxiety in my stomach. Yeah,
I'm gonna start interviewing you if you don't shut up. Do you want me to give you prepared questions?
No.
That's your punishment if you don't do better riffing.
Okay.
What was the other thing that you noticed about that episode that you were gonna say?
Oh, so you're gonna interview me now? It's starting.
Answer the question.
What is the question?
You said that there was something else about that episode that you wanted to highlight. Did you forget?
I don't know what it was. That's not a specific question. Now I'm mad at your question asking.
It wasn't even question asking. You said something else I wanted to highlight about this episode, and then you were like, I'm anxious, and then you didn't say it. But it's irrelevant. We can bring it up later. No.
It was about the backdrop that we were talking about things that were making us anxious while simultaneously having another off-air conversation while recording it. that was just as difficult as the on-air conversation.
Oh, I remember that. We kept pausing.
We were pausing, chopping it up.
What the fuck were we
cutting
doing?
stuff out, fucking arguing off air, to like deliberating what we should and like it was just fucking. It was a fucking mangled, chaotic mess.
And I think we recorded it like. I don't remember why there was such urgency, but maybe I had to go back to work the next day, or like we weren't going to see each other for a while, and we were like, "This is the last chance we have to do this," and it was like 10:00 at night. Yeah.
Yeah, we're highly professional these days compared to with our episode scheduling. We run into trouble when our queue ends, obviously, and we're like kind of scrambling. Like actually, right now, this actually is like
the end of a queue.
It is the end of a queue, and we have a tight window of time in which this current episode should be completed.
Well, I don't know if we
this
just to explain
time,
to explain what that means too, because I don't know if we've ever actually talked about this on the air, because it's a little meta. But usually when we start out a new month or a new frame of time where we have a lot of extra time to record between other obligations like work and stuff, we'll just send out a blast of emails and see what everyone's schedules are like out of people who've contacted us recently or who we want to hit up for interviews. And those just fall where they land, and usually they all end up being within the next couple of weeks, and we record like a shit ton of them. We only release on Fridays, so sometimes we get ahead and we have some extra time to like see our families on the weekends and like not be recording all the time. But for a good portion of this podcast, and actually now that I mention it, for a majority of 2021, the first year of our podcast, we did not do it like that, and we would just go like paycheck to paycheck basically.
Yeah, actually, it was paycheck to paycheck content.
Yeah.
Release.
So if an interview fell through, or if we had an audio recording issue, or if we were planning on recording an episode that was just the two of us and we didn't know what to say, or it wasn't working, or we weren't in the right mood, it was really fucking stressful for like no reason. So that's something that we've come a pretty far way on. Is even the first year anniversary of the show, we didn't. How do I want to say this? I don't want to say that we were bad at anything, because I think it's a learning process, and I think we were still doing pretty good compared to where we started. And I think we have pretty good communication overall, and that's why we're able to talk about it. But we put a lot more intentional work into our workflow and are giving ourselves space for things just not working. Like, it's factoring in the possibility of a mistake or a delay happening gives you room to navigate that with grace rather than forcing a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, we love you guys, but the releasing every Friday rule is one that we literally made. It's never that deep. We want to keep up our quality, but also not shove bamboo shoots under our fingernails for no reason.
But I am like very hard line about the release day though, because
Brian's pro bamboo shoots.
Yeah, well, simply because this is something that nobody's making us do, that we're not getting paid to do. We are not beholden to anybody to complete this, which means that if we don't force it and do it on a regular schedule, then it might as well not exist.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I do agree with that.
There's like, it's
That's
like,
true.
Yeah, it's like, if it's like, that's how art is. Like, it's like, are you like,
it's discipline.
You just have to fucking do it. And if you're not doing it, then you,
well, let me
like,
rephrase that.
What are you doing? Like, it's like you don't have a podcast. It's like you don't have a podcast if you're not fucking releasing it.
It's true.
If you're on some type of hiatus or production break, that's different. But if we're just like, oh, we'll just do one next week. No.
Yeah, then it's just like a hobby.
Trash bullshit. This is a serious thing because we decided it's a serious thing.
I'm not saying it's not serious.
I know you don't feel that way, but I'm just saying that is the philosophy in my mind behind the idea of a weekly release.
I want to just backpedal a little bit then, because that's not what I meant. You're right. What I mean by that, about saying that we've created that deadline for ourselves, is that we are in control of, in the same way we're not beholden to anybody, we don't have to send progress reports. Like, we get to decide what day we record on, we get to decide how it fits in our schedules, and part of that responsibility and being able to commit to the workload part of having a project like this is making it fit within our schedules in a way that is sustainable. And I think we were so focused on making sure that it was good and making sure that it came out when we wanted it to and checking off those deadline boxes it was like studying for the quiz. You know what I mean? Like the giving ourselves room to breathe is a skill that I think we picked up in the last year. We also, this is a long story, but we're doing a review of our lives in general, not just episodes, and we realized that last winter time, like January through March of 2022, was really hard for us individually and together. And I think that probably was part of the stressor.
Oh, did you say January through March?
Roughly.
Oh, yeah. So the beginning of 2022 was shite. It was just fucking stupid. I mean, from my perspective, I felt like I wasn't making any progression with art. I wasn't having any professional development. I wasn't making any money. Like, I just felt like a potato. Like, I just felt stupid. And like, I think too, like, something that I noticed in my end of year reflections and then some journaling and looking back on old journals is that I, for a long time without noticing, have this like two wolves inner battle between, like, specifically with art. Like, this obviously isn't the only internal battle I have in my life. That would be really stupid if it was. But just this very small, like, ideological battle within me that is me thinking about just being DIY, doing what I do, how I do it, to my quality, to my standards, doing whatever I want. Fuck you. If you don't like it, don't fucking look at it. Fuck off. And so that, which is just how I've always been. But then the opposite of that, feeling like maybe I should learn more about professionalism and more about like the corporate like side of things and more about arts administrative stuff and like legit stuff and grants and LLCs and nonprofits and this world and that world and office. Yeah. Like, that's a real world. And like, this is something that me and you recognize in the difference between our skill sets, because you thrive in that and you understand that language.
A little.
Like, I'm saying that you're not like different or worse or better. It's nothing like that, but it's just like you throughout your life and journey have learned how to survive in that setting. And I haven't. And you would look at me and tell me, but you can learn this and that and this and that. But I would tell you the same thing about guitar. You can take guitar lessons and learn to fucking play guitar if you want, if you play every day.
Well, that doesn't mean that's a skill set you already have right now, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't, like, how many people on earth have ever explained to somebody, oh, dude, you could learn an instrument, it's so easy, like, you just gotta do.
Yeah.
How many of those people were like, dude, that guy was right, now I'm a guitar player? Like, that's never fucking happened.
It was easy.
Yeah, that guy was totally right. All I had to do was practice every day for 10 years.
I mean, yeah.
But that is an identity crisis for me sometimes. Not right now. I feel like I'm in a good place with it.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of this year, it was where I was like, man, like, because we were in a stage in our life where we were professionally connected to a lot of people that were in the arts administration world. And we're like, am I saying too much right now?
I don't know if I actually think that that's true. I think later in the year that happened, but because I at the same time was having
you're right. I mixed up the timeline.
Yeah, because at the same time as that was going on, was having a parallel crisis where I really wanted to. This might be a little bit much to put on the air, but whatever, fuck it.
Okay.
I really wanted to have an arts admin job or be able to make money doing creative things or doing the podcast or whatever. And obviously that's a work in progress for a lot of people. Like, it's not something you just like develop overnight, is that networking capacity or like the skill set to be able to fully support yourself with art. But I was in a position financially where I needed to have a higher paying job in order to keep my shit together. And I had to take a job at a bank that I hated, and I had no time to do any of the things that I wanted to do. And because I do have like a mind for numbers and like I have a skill set in that direction, I had a lot of potential for career mobility within that field, but I wanted to fucking die like every day. And I had no time to make art, and it was a huge identity crisis for me, because the things that would have rewarded me in my personal life, like the ways that I could make enough money to buy groceries, make myself food, and like have a nice night with my cat or hang out with my boyfriend or whatever, all of those things were drawing me away from the things that were making me happy. and I didn't see another way out of it. And then around March, I ended up getting a different job and reconnecting with a lot of old friends that I was really close with before the pandemic, and kind of set my shit straight again. But I was in the middle of a major reset where I felt like my admin skill set was pulling me away from the arts, and that was the only thing I was good at or qualified in to make enough money to survive, but that I didn't want the things that it provided me, which turned out not to be true. It was a really negative way of thinking about it, but we were both unhappy with where we were in the arts and unhappy with the skill sets that we had and didn't see a way to move forward. We probably had a lot of like mid-20s like pressure and psychosis going on of like, I'm gonna die soon.
Mid-20s psychosis.
I need to get married now and I can't afford it.
Right.
So I don't know. There was just so much negative bullshit that was honestly like so fucking dumb. Like we could have relaxed.
And to talk more specifically about the timeline, you know, you've talked about your job in banking.
Yeah.
And how you hated that and it was not the right choice for you at the time. I don't want to I'm like treading lightly because I don't want you to feel like we're putting you on blast or something.
No, it's okay. I just don't want to self-dox.
Of course. But
it's all good though.
So the reason that we were talking about March specifically is because that's when the show with Walter Tomasino.
Yeah.
And that happened with me and Walter.
You mean the art show,
great
not
artist.
the exhibition.
Yeah, the exhibition. I use those two words interchangeably, and Theo thinks that that's a gauche thing to do.
Well, I don't think it's gauche. I just think that we also recorded a show with Walter Tomasino, so it's confusing.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. that was out of line.
Yeah, little.
All right.
Just saying.
But yeah, that was curated by Dwayne Lucia, who we also interviewed. Great episode.
Shouts out to Dwayne.
But during that time, you know, and that wasn't just my show in my mind. That Theo was right there involved with the whole thing the whole time too. You know, and you also ended up, you know, through, I don't know, have we talked a lot about FPAC? And like how your role with that shit?
We have. I don't know how much we talked about what I was doing at the time, but I was briefly the maybe I didn't talk about it.
I think we did. I think you might have on the Kieran Kelleher episode. Shout out to Kieran.
Oh, maybe I did.
Another great episode. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It's deep in the catalog.
I was for about 8 months, I think, of this year, the art lending program manager for Fort Point Arts Community, which was a really cool experience because I got to work actually with artists and in arts administration, like for real, which was a new experience for me and was really great as far as resume building. I'm no longer working in that capacity. I have another job now, but it was a really good experience. So that was cool.
Yeah,
that started in March.
And it's like, yeah, great. That's a good LinkedIn answer. And I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm talking about my perspective on that too. But like, you know, that's about the time, you know, going through that gallery show, and that was fun, and that was a really wonderful experience. And for anybody who has no geographical context for it, you know, I don't want to like make this about like, oh, it's a bunch of rich people. I'm just a punk rock guy. Like none of that's stupid bullshit. But the gallery was in a very affluent area, and the walk-in traffic were not people like us. They were like, you know, people with nice jobs and had apartments in the area, and like, you know, and you shouldn't get in your head about that. They're just regular people, just like us. It is what it is. But, you know, I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to feel about those people, and I felt weird and judged, and like these people with way different lifestyles than me and different backgrounds than me. It made me feel like, you know, like Jughead Jones from Riverdale style. Like, you know, it made me feel like I'm different. Like I'm a weirdo. Like
I'm weird Betty.
Like that's how I felt, and I didn't wear it on my sleeve. I think I survived that fine. But I think that for me, and then you getting that job with the art lending, like I think I was like, shit, like I need to start doing catch up, and like I need to know how to dress like these people and act like this and be professional and somehow get involved with this arts organization too. And like that was like dumb of me, because it was a good experience, I guess, and I got, you know, it's great. Like being a part of like an arts organization like that as a member is a very beneficial thing to any artist. Yeah. So there's that.
And they're a good program too.
Yeah, FPAC's great. Fort Point Art Community, if you have no idea what we're talking about. At any rate, like, for me, it's just like, the thing is though, is that like, it's such a cliche about artists and curators, as they always say, like, oh, well, artists, like, they don't answer emails, and they're aloof, and they're, like, always wearing dirty clothes, and, they're wacky, and, like, weird. That's just what they say. That's just what people say. And then there are people that are, like, clean cut, like, robot people that become curators and administrators and directors.
Robot people?
Yeah, like, people who thrive in those environments, and people who are orderly and like can manage people and tasks and are efficient with their time. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a thing. And, like, I think that I felt, like, really exposed and bad, and, like, I was missing professional development or knowledge that everyone else around me had, because I didn't feel like that type of person.
Yeah.
That I was like, man, I wish that I was like that or something. And then maybe it's like this schlubby, like, not like bad at answering emails lifestyle is negatively affecting me, or I don't know what I was doing. I don't like, and it's like the more I say this out loud, it's like the more embarrassing it gets, because I know that it's just like it's a silly, I guess, the silly thing.
Well, it makes sense, and I think it's an important thing to talk about, because it's really weird. It's funny to think about all this, and I'm glad we're talking about it and recording it, because I'm sure we'll have more insights on it in the future. It'd be interesting to think back on. But I think I was having kind of a parallel, like, we were having the same identity crisis, but different, I guess, because I think for me throughout the year, like, the reason the shit when I was working in finance was so hard, and different other things that I've dealt with throughout this year, is I have a tendency to fall really hard for the whole, like, capitalist America, corporate America, like, your job is your family. Like, I mean, I don't, obviously, like, when someone says that, it sounds transparent, but when you're doing something every day and that is how you're allotting all of your time, it's really easy to feel like, well, fuck, this is my life now, this is what I do, which means this is who I am. And that's not the same thing. And I think that that's a really pervasive thing in the arts, because when you're an artist, it's like, my art is, how many fucking times have you heard people say to you, like, it must be really hard for you to sell a painting because your art is like, you're putting your soul on the paper, like, this is your voice. It's like, no. Maybe sometimes, but, like, come on, I don't know, whatever. So that's the thing. And then when you talk about selling your work, or, like, curating a show of your own work, or networking with other people, like, if you're buying into that and you're thinking about it that way, of like, my art is me, I'm pitching myself, I'm marketing myself, if you're not as successful in that as you want to be, that could be a mindfuck. If you're not doing it the way other people are doing it, then that is a direct reflection on you being, like, shittier than them, versus it being you accumulating or not accumulating skills that they might have. And the thing about it too is, like, in the new economy, the way that things are, at least post-COVID, which maybe it was like that before, that's when I gained, like, corporate sentience, but people aren't their job titles, they're the skills that they have. Like, I have been a person who, I'm not going to name names, but I've worked jobs just so that I could get the skill set for a different job that I wanted, and people should continue to do that, and I stand by doing that, because you are marketing yourself as an individual, even if you're climbing through different corporations or different entities that you're being paid by. You don't have to be a CEO or a freelancer to do that. And even more so if you are a freelancer, like, being able to check emails or not is not a reflection on you as a person or as an artist, or, like, you're not, like, not an email guy. It's just a skill that you don't, like, it's not one of your primary skills right now. And you have the capacity to change that if you want to. And like we were saying about, like, guitar and stuff, like, it's not so easy, but it's like it's like in a video game, like, you customize your build, you know what I mean? And maybe that's just not you, but that doesn't mean that you suck or you're not as good as someone else or whatever. It just means that a certain role that is targeted towards someone with that skill set might not be a fit for you.
Another thing too is that I just wasn't able to see at that time the skills that I was already honing. Like, I'd lost sight of it. Yes. Not through this was a, this wasn't like a life crisis or something. Like, I'm like,
we're talking about a period of, like, 4 months right now.
Right. and like, the thing is, like, I fucking engineer and produce and edit this entire fucking show.
Yeah, you do.
Like, we track down and get good fucking interviews.
Yeah.
And like on top of that, like you can think my music sucks all you want, but I've also like self-produced like fucking 18 albums.
Yeah, you have.
Good and bad. What else? I don't know. I've edited infinite fucking videos.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Whatever. Like I can edit audio and video and process content. And I like doing that. I've also made thousands and thousands of pieces of art.
Mm-hmm.
If we're counting drawings and sketches and shit, I've made tens of thousands of pieces of art.
And if you want to talk about research and education, there are a lot of things that you are really specialized in that I think maybe you don't give yourself enough credit for sometimes. Like, everybody that knows you knows that you're the guy that if you have something that you need preserved or like something valuable that people might not appreciate, like, weren't you saying that you have a family member who's considering leaving like an antique doll collection to you in the future?
This is true.
Like, you're like a freelance museum guy.
Yeah.
Which is a really unique skill set that takes a lot of like research and learning to that's an area of expertise.
To specify what you're talking about is that talking about the act of preserving ephemeral artifacts.
Yes, that's
paper, what I meant. Sculptural, whatever, pieces of art, writings.
Yeah.
I have DIY'd myself some valuable information about preservation and things like that, and I enjoy that a lot because I care about, you know.
Yeah.
The idea of people and things dying and disappearing from the human consciousness is really terrifying to me.
Well, it's important for people to do what you do because, I mean, this podcast is kind of an iteration of that as well.
Because could be.
All the artists in the world, if somebody's not doing that for them or if they're not doing it for themselves, your shit is gone within like 30 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of my art has met that horrible fate. I'm pretty bad at that.
Yeah, I mean, me too. You learn by fucking shit up.
Brian goes through my studio like twice a year and just preserves shit for me.
Well, it's because you're gonna just ruin all your shit if I don't help you. So you're gonna ruin all your shit. So I don't want you to do that because I love you and I love what you do, and I don't want you to lose all of these nice things you care about just because of like a moment of being overwhelmed or frustrated or something.
Just like stuffing a piece of paper under a table and then spilling like a bottle of laundry detergent on it and then crying and leaving it there.
Yeah, and then like another thing too that a lot of people do is they'll spill something on something, crease something, rip something will get seriously water damaged, whatever it is, and then a lot of people will go, well, I guess that is what it is, and they throw it away.
Yeah.
Even though there are many instances where something can be like what seems to be irreparably destroyed and then can be fixed. So books can even be rebound.
Listen, dude, so far we've named one episode. Do you want to go down the list?
Yeah, let's see if we can keep this going. We'll try to keep them brief for the rest of them. Let's move on.
Maybe we can just go by chunks because I think that's what we're talking about.
That covers all of our New Year's content.
That also covers is an artist born or made and erudite linguistic packing peanuts. Because we were talking.
Yeah.
I can't even say that. That was a quote from me.
You said that.
Erudite linguistic packing peanuts.
Is that how you said it? Anyway, whatever.
That was me bitching about gallery speak, I think, which is so funny because I don't even know if I stand by that.
And then I just like openly talk shit about a bunch of like real people in real places.
Did you?
I did on that episode, yeah.
What the fuck?
I turned up a little bit on erudite.
Your description. I never read the descriptions of the episodes until we go back, in which Theo and Brian talk shit about art and people and then drink smoothies. Good job.
Talk shit about art and people.
What else is new? And that
I
also
try not
covers...
to do ironic descriptions anymore, but I did have a few ironic ones.
It's funny. I like it.
I try to keep them more.
Who the fuck did you talk shit about on that episode? I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that.
I'm not gonna reiterate
it. Was it like historical dead people,
no.
Or was it? What the fuck?
It's people that I know.
I don't even. Oh.
I didn't name anybody.
All right. Never mind.
To do.
So then we talked to Dwayne. That episode was in March.
Lucia. Shout out to Dwayne Lucia, who is like honestly a legendary arts consultant and curator
and artist.
And if there's like, you know, Dwayne is the only person that I've met, or at least the first person that I have met, that is somebody that just wants good art to be seen and exist, and like in a very DIY way, where he just wants to find good artists and put them in fucking galleries.
Yeah.
Through on his own dime. Like, he just wants to do that.
Yeah.
And I respect the shit out of that, because those people are only in movies.
Yeah.
Or in documentaries about people like Toulouse-Lautrec or like Picasso. He's like fucking Gertrude Stein.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he tries to do that type of shit, and that's like literally fucking sick. So
yeah, shout out.
Respect to Dwayne.
I agree.
100%.
After that, we had an episode called Modernism and Counterculture.
Oh yeah, what the fuck did we even talk about? I think that one we were talking about.
Theo and Brian discussed the origins of Impressionism as the beginning of the modernist age. Some say that modernism was once the misfit bad boy of art history, but now it seems to be the institution itself with more traditional views rising up against it. We investigate the matter.
I was talking about the kind of phenomenon as I see it, about how things like literally like Monet, who is like, you could say in a very snide way that Monet is like the face of normie, lame-o, like dweeb museum art.
Yeah.
Like if there's a Monet exhibition at a major museum, it's gonna bring in every grandma, and you know what I mean.
Monet brings the money.
Yeah, there you go. So, but when Monet and his contemporaries were contemporary, they were not the institution. Like, they were countercultural. The Impressionist movement was a countercultural art movement that was really pushing against what was the institution of the day. But now it's like interesting because like it's I guess I just think it's interesting that modernism and things like Basquiat, you know, who is like a insanely popular artist, like legendary status artist. I just think it's weird that now there are people that are trying to rail against modernism by being hyper traditional. Like, they're like, no, actually all of these old modernists that changed everything were actually stupid, and we should be fucking, you know what I mean?
Should be what?
We should wear tunics and
I don't think there's a lot of people thinking that. I think that's a specific niche.
There's a couple people that want to wear tunics and have long hair and never use the color blue and worship one creepy old guy who lives in the
all right.
Netherlands.
Yo, I don't want the smoke.
We love our master. So we love him. Wash his feet.
After that, we talked to Chris O'Grady and Trevor Sullivan as we were leaving Assemblage Art Space after a successful gallery opening for your and Walter's show in the Seaport.
Oh, that's actually a special episode. So after the reception, me, you, Trevor, and Chris
went to a sandwich shop.
Yeah, I forget what that place was, but I think Chris said that it was Egyptian food.
Yeah, that wasn't a sandwich shop. That was a falafel place.
Oh, maybe I should have wrote falafel shop.
Did you edit my drawing for the... You did.
No, I've never edited your drawing.
Yes, you did. For the cover art, you gave it a background.
Let me see that. I most definitely did not.
You did. Someone did.
The fuck? No, I didn't.
Quite rude.
I really don't think that I did that.
Is it just Spotify? Maybe
it made
a transparency.
No,
that's
that
not me,
happen.
Dude. That's digital. This isn't actually a big deal.
Did I do that? I don't think that's something I would ever have done.
Well, if you did a sloppy job because I can see the digitization.
Yeah, what the fuck? I think that this is... I think you might be forgetting something that you did to your own drawing.
No, I did not.
Because this isn't something I would do.
I bought my art tablet yesterday.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be like, oh, let me use something. You know what? So, for a little industry secret for any buddy who thinks our album art is interesting, if you ever see the album art of an episode, it's just a random drawing by me or Theo. It's because I did it in 2 seconds and didn't have anything else to put there. And was like, fuck it, I'll just use this.
This is the actual drawing.
Did I do that? If I did that, I literally don't fucking remember why. I don't know why I would add a black background to a drawing that you did.
I don't know either. It looks kind of good, but...
It's not something I would do. Theo just shared the thing to your story.
Yeah, so everyone can see that Brian's a liar.
Whatever. All right, fuck that up. What episode even was that?
That was Chris and Trevor. We talked about art and we talked about music for a while. That was a really sweet episode, actually.
That was fun. Hanging out with Chris and Trevor, walking around Alston. Was that the one where we did like the whole band on the street emo night thing?
No, that was a different one.
Okay, we'll keep going then.
Then we talked to Tim Downey.
Shout out to Tim Downey.
Yeah, who's a longtime show promoter and music organizer in the town of Plymouth, Mass. We talked about art, mental illness, family stuff, talked about Plymouth. That was a pretty good episode. That was a fun time.
Yeah, shout out to Tim. Great guy. Supporter of the musical arts in the historic town of Plymouth, Massachusetts.
That's right.
Thanks, Tim, for coming on our show.
And then the next episode was called Upgrading Your Confidence, in which Theo and Brian talk about self-care, bank robberies, empaths, psychic readings, religious trauma, art criticism versus music criticism, art school, TikTok, toxic marketing, and self-confidence.
Well, we really covered it all that episode.
I think this was a beach episode.
It was, I remember.
The beach episodes go hard. We should do that more. So there's that.
Where to even start with that? I think I have some buttons that can be pushed, and one of them, for some reason, is talking about religion, abuse of power in religion. I don't know why, but I really care about that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was also during a time where you were doing some deep research on that shit too. Right afterwards.
I'm very hesitant to talk about any of that on the podcast because so much of that information is so controversial, and I don't ever want to be known as a religious what do you call, like an armchair religious theorist.
I think he might already be known like that.
A little teeny bit.
A little bit.
That's okay.
If you want to hear that episode, I actually do really recommend that one, which normally I don't remember episodes where it's just the two of us talking because we talk so much about art. But now that I'm looking at this description, there are some pretty funny anecdotes in this one I recommend.
Yeah, Upgrading Your Confidence was a great episode because despite what we just said about it, we do talk about just the idea of becoming more confident, not as an artist, but becoming more confident. Oh, wait, fuck.
You talking about a different one?
I'm talking about a different episode.
It's okay.
Or becoming more confident in presenting yourself as an artist, truly.
I think we were talking at this point about a lot of the things we were just discussing about earlier in the year. We had just gotten through a lot of it and were able to speak about it more, so we were doing that. I told a funny story about something that happened when I was working at the bank. I don't know. Yeah. Pretty good episode. It was a fun time. The next one might be the one you're talking about. It was called Artist Identity Taking Inventory.
So that was actually an episode directed by you, where you were...
No, we went to Hull?
Yeah, we went to the forts in Hull, and we were talking about the idea... I forget exactly. You created... It was, I think, a writing exercise that you were vibing with about developing your artistic identity.
It's like what we were talking about earlier this episode. I can't stop yawning, I'm sorry. What we were talking about earlier this episode about identifying your skill sets and assets and figuring out how those things can inform your artistic journey and how to put yourself in the right rooms and to create the right opportunities based on the things that you are already good at or enjoy doing. And identifying, like taking inventory of the facets of your identity that can help you in your career.
Maybe I should have fucking done that earlier last year. Maybe doing that helped me.
Maybe.
Maybe you helped me.
Maybe I helped me too. It seemed like it was a good time for us to discuss that.
If any of our listeners did that exercise, fucking let us know.
Oh, that'd be so cool to hear about.
Yeah.
If you want to take a listen, it's from April 29th of 2022.
Oh, dude, a little bit of a sidebar. So, I don't know if you guys saw on the Instagram recently, you might have in the last week or two, that Theo made a banger infographic post.
Oh, thanks.
Loved that. Dude, you should make that. Just describe inventory.
Oh.
Or, dude, what if we made promotional posts for the episodes? What if we made a slide infographic about the episode
as we release
as the announcement for the episode?
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be really good for episodes that are just me and you, where we're talking about specific ideas and concepts.
So things don't get lost in the...
that would be really good.
Maybe we'll do that.
Talk about that. Ooh, I love good content ideas. What's next?
Next was the episode you were talking about with Chris O'Grady, Trevor Sullivan, and John Garness.
Yeah, shout out to Trevor and Chris and their wonderful band Bullpup. You guys are awesome. Oh, I meant Trevor. Shout out to Trevor and John.
Oh, I didn't even hear you say that. I was reading the description.
Band Bullpup. Shout out to Chris, who's always a fun guy to talk to.
And his band, Chris O'Grady and the Dopaminis.
And Troll 2. Shouts out.
Troll 2.
That was a fun episode where we basically just acted stupid and talked a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we covered some interesting things, but what I remember the most is that we were just fucking around and talking shit on the episode.
And then we interviewed another Plymouth person, artist Kieran Kelleher.
Shout out to Kieran. Great abstract artist. A lot of wonderful ideas coming out of his studio. Really great works.
That
Follow
was a
him on Instagram to see some dope shit.
That was a really fun studio visit too, because we got to see the workspace that he was working out of and see the kind of materials he was using. It's always really nice when we get to go to someone's studio or where they're working out of, even if it's just like an apartment or something, because it gives an idea of... It gives us more questions to ask than the person might usually offer up in just a dialogue, because you get to look around and see what someone's working with. Like, something I remember about going to Kieran's studio was that there were a lot of saw blades that he was using in his work.
Oh, yeah.
And when we went downstairs to his shop, it was partially his painting studio and partially his dad's wood shop. His dad was a carpenter.
I relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that we talked about that too, that your your studio is partly your dad's shop too. That was a cool thing.
Shouts out.
Then we had the interview with Walter Tomasino. It actually came out on my sibling Emerson's birthday, May 20th. It's kind of funny.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Walter Tomasino, who I did a split show with that we previously talked about at Assemblage Art Space, curated by Dwayne Lucia.
Yeah.
Badass motherfucking show. Badass motherfucking artist who had like a beautiful and honestly like harrowing story that he was willing to share with us on the show, that I honestly got so much joy out of recording with Walter.
Yeah, that was a really good time.
His roommate. So that was a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Walter. We'd love to do it again. I'm not sure if he's the podcast type, so he probably isn't going to hear me say this. But we love talking to you, and it was a bunch of fun.
I can't believe that was already last May. We'll have to go back out there and say hello again.
We should follow up, see what's going on.
Yeah, Walter was a longtime resident of Boston and grew up around here, but is located in Worcester.
Yeah.
A little bit of a drive.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Learn to Describe Your Art, which is an episode between the two of us.
Yes, this is when I was talking about how a lot of the times when somebody asks me what kind of art I make, I go, oh, I just fucking paint stupid shit.
I fucking hate when you do that.
I just color and write on shit.
I'm gonna bitch about this again, even though I clearly already...
And I'm stupid, I'm a dumb fucking piece of shit.
Or when someone goes, so what have you been up to? And you're like, I don't know, just fucking around. And they're like, you always fucking do that. And they're like, oh, so are you working anywhere? And you're like, no.
Nah, no developments.
Sometimes I buy scratch tickets. I don't know.
I'm just like sitting on a floor staring at a wall for 3 years.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel weirdly not motivated at all to update anybody on what I'm up to.
You have to understand that the average person, at least, maybe this is a fucking New England thing, but the average person, if they're asking you if you have a job, they're communicating to you they already think that you're a piece of shit. So if you
really?
I don't know. Maybe I'm being drastic, but I feel like people are going to assume that you're up to nothing. So if you say, yeah, I'm an artist, you don't have to justify it. That's already a sick answer and you're going to surprise them.
I know, but I sometimes I have very, very old feelings, old, damaged confidence and self-esteem that exists deep in me that just jumps out sometimes and uses outdated defense mechanisms yeah, it sometimes happens. I did pretty good the other night. We were I won't vividly describe the social interaction because it might become relevant later, so I don't want to make it weird.
Okay.
But the other night somebody asked me what I do and I said I'm an artist, and then I told the guy all about the podcast, and nothing was awkward about it. See, the thing is,
and it turned out sick.
And I think one fear that I have though sometimes when I'm talking about the show, not talking about the show, talking about myself, is that I've known a lot of people over the years that just annoy the fuck, like that every time you fucking talk to them, it's like you're watching a commercial.
Yeah.
For whatever the fuck they're like stupid shit they're like trying to sell to you or to promote to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just like, well, dude, I just wanted to hang out with you or something. Yeah. And they're like ad reading to you about their fucking every weird scheme. And it's just like, I don't want to be that guy where I'm like promoting, like I don't want people, and like I think that's like a stupid overcorrection because that's what pops in. That's the fear associated with it a lot of times.
But it's different if somebody asks.
That's true.
Especially if they ask and then they're prodding and trying to get you to give an answer, and you're just like, nope, nope.
You know what I do though is I do that to family a lot, which sucks. Like I'll do that like if like my aunt is or someone like that is like asking, trying to get me to talk about what I'm up to. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I don't know.
You don't say it like that.
I
That's
don't know.
more.
Like I'm a 15-year-old boy.
I was actually gonna say that because what you're
I
talking
skate.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's what Learn to Describe Your Art is about. Is you yelling? Is the same? Where this is the same thing, but I think I'm better. I think I'm a little bit better.
You know, something that I do. I don't know if I talked about that on the episode, but something that I actually recently, maybe I don't do it as much, but I used to have a really extreme tendency towards doing this. There was a similar way of undermining myself when someone asked about what I'm up to. Is I would explain my college trajectory. Be like,
Yes.
well, I was going to Lesley University, but then I took some time off because blah, 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 blah. And I would just lie around the fact that I dropped out and say, now I'm doing such and such a thing, but I plan to be going back to school this time and studying blah, 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 blah. And it's like, all of that is true, but also like so irrelevant to the actual things that I've been doing lately.
I mean, it's great to say if you're in like a job interview.
Not really, because it's been years.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Says me, who I don't have a job that required an interview.
Dude, so this is the thing, to add to my point and to counterpoint what you just said, the shit that you actually do and produce is good for a job interview, even if, and especially if, it is something that is driven by yourself and you don't have a boss for. If you were laying down hardwood floors, like DIY, like you had your own flooring company, you would say that in a job interview. Why wouldn't you say that you have a podcast?
You're right. That's true, I guess. And our podcast is pretty public facing too. It isn't like
it's
something like, it isn't like private or something like fireable or fucked up. It's like something that we're intentionally trying to make community oriented.
A lot of people at my
in
job know that I have a podcast.
In the content, not really in the production of it, obviously.
If you Google either of us, like if you go to a job interview and you don't mention the podcast, they're going to find it when they do your background check.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like a really important thing, because if our podcast was like something weird or like something, or like the type of show where it's just a couple friends like smoking weed and talking shit, like those are cool podcasts and stuff, but those a lot of people would be hiding from their employer.
Yeah.
You know, which is tough, because like you shouldn't have to hide the fact that you hang out with your friends and smoke weed.
Yeah.
But, you know, anyway, I don't know.
It's a long story, but yeah.
Fuck it. I don't even know. I can't even name a podcast that's like that. Like, I don't even know why I said that.
I probably could, but so then we had Theo versus Brian death match.
Oh, that's one where that's actually such an interesting episode. I feel like that was brave of us to drop that one, because that easily could have just been filed into our growing file of unreleased episodes.
What even happened in this episode?
We just had a weird episode where we were not connected or in rhythm with each other, and we were both getting kind of aggravated with each other and just saying a bunch of shit that maybe we weren't even really like we were just on a horrible vibe and probably giving terrible advice and ideas, and getting pissed at each other. And then after that, we went home, talked it out, and we're like, man, we're just being stupid. We were just hungry or something. And then we recorded us talking about that, where we were like,
oh, we jumped back in?
Yeah, we jumped back in and we were like, oh man, like that was silly. We shouldn't have felt like that. Yeah, keep listening if you want to hear us have a wicked awkward episode.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's a weird episode.
I wonder how the analytics on that compare to other episodes. I think people like cringed and quit halfway through, or like, maybe fuck this.
It could be the type of episode where someone would listen to it and be like, I don't even see anything wrong with this, and it's just only us who think it's weird.
I feel like every time we have an episode where we like make a big deal out of the fact that we were fighting or something, you listen back to it and it's not that bad.
Yeah, I don't listen back to tons of them.
Then we had an episode that was an interview with writer, artist, and co-creator of Fuck Your Dream Zine, Olivia Deng.
Shout out to Olivia Deng. A great interview, wonderful connection to have, and a great conversation.
Yeah.
We're honored to do that and record that at Assemblage. So that was fun. Shout out to unpack for letting us use the space.
Yeah, that's a wicked fun time. Something I remember about that interview that was kind of funny is that we got there late because of traffic. So we actually arrived at the same time as Olivia and Dwayne, who just happened to be in the area. And then Dwayne let us into the studio, the gallery, which was awesome because we thought that it was going to be open for us, and it turned out it wasn't, so it was perfect timing. But then when we opened the door, the fire alarm started going off, and it wouldn't stop going off. And you, I don't know why this happened, but you had gone across the street to a restaurant, ordered fries, and you were just gone. for like 20 minutes.
Dude,
Me and Olivia were just standing in there, the fire alarm going off.
Oh my God. I was so hungry, and I was like, and we had spent so much time looking for parking because we were in the fucking seaport, like the shittiest fucking location on planet Earth.
In June,
probably on like a Friday night or something.
Yeah.
And I was starving, and I was like, maybe I'll just get like some fries to eat real quick from this fucking place. But then they took like fucking 25 minutes to give me the fries, and then by the time we sat down to record, they were like cold, and I feel like I made the episode a little bit weird of a vibe because there was just a pile of cold, gross, like steak fries on the table that I was just picking at through the whole thing. It just was like not a good look, I feel like, to just be like, hey, all right, I'm ready, I'm late. And I just got a big pile of gross, greasy fries that are cold. Nobody ate them but me. Well,
you ended up not being late because the fire alarm took a half an hour to turn off. We couldn't record anyway. But it was a weird...
I was eating some gross fries. Oh, and I don't even want to talk about this, but I will. But that was the day that for some reason voice memos on my phone got completely corrupted and stopped working for months.
And we lost a big chunk of the interview.
We did.
That was really sad.
Unfortunately, we didn't really talk about that at the time, but we did lose a portion of that recording, and that was fucking awful and really upsetting. But we made do, and we still got some great content out of talking with Olivia. And that was good, though, too, because it shut down our voice memo crutch and forced us to branch out and start thinking of new ways to produce the show, which has ultimately led up to us. We don't have all of the equipment that we want to have right now, but
we started taking shit a little more serious.
Yeah, and I have a grocery list of recording items that I'm going to be buying in the following weeks that will seriously upgrade our project.
Which brings us up to our first episode right now that we're recording with our new mics.
Oh yeah, so this is just one piece of this is just another tool in the bag. What's the next episode?
Then we had a really exciting episode where we were interviewed by Joey Wolonjovics for the Boston Hassle.
Shout out to Joey. Thank you for interviewing us. That was a great article.
It was sick because we met up with Joey and he told us it would be cool if we recorded him interviewing us. So we recorded that and uploaded it in full. And then he wrote an article about us, which is on bostonhassle.com. You can still find it. It's called The City versus Creativity, a conversation on the Boston art scene with Brian Huntress and Theodore Earthworms.
Lovely, lovely writing from Joey. Thank you so much for interviewing us and coming on our show as well.
Yeah, Joey's a really cool person and a really good writer.
Shouts out.
The next episode we did was called What is DIY? What does it mean?
A very interesting episode because of surprisingly contentious one. It's kind of tough to really hash out what that really means, but we were just kind of talking about the idea that DIY means everything from like an old guy building his own barn on a farm and a bunch of people like with leather jackets having a show at their parents' house.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, so we were just kind of trying to get into the mud of what the fuck that even means. Hey, I want to check in. How are we doing physically right now? Do we need like water or anything? Should we like maybe a change of scenery?
Maybe. I could go for some food, but...
Okay, do you want this Gatorade? It's cold and nice.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I'm not like suffering.
How about we do a couple laps? How about we drive a little bit again?
We could do that.
Is that gonna fuck the vibe up for me?
Well, look at our time. I was thinking...
Hey, careful.
What do you mean?
Oh, I saw you fucking with that. I didn't want you to...
Yeah, because I'm fucking stupid. I don't know how to use
the phone. It's 6:21. Oh, the time of the length of the episode, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, it's 58 minutes so far.
Yes.
So why don't we speed through the rest of these? Let's accelerate a little bit. You're looking at me like I'm pissing you off.
Are you going to say you're sorry for yelling at me for touching your phone screen?
Okay, I'm sorry for yelling at you for touching the phone screen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sorry. All right.
All right. So then we talked about, we had our Facebook events dead. That was in July. What?
No, what about, wasn't it Instagram artists versus gallery artists?
No, that was after that.
Oh, our Facebook event's dead. Yeah. Maybe they are, maybe they're not.
I just made a strong claim, and I don't know what else we said.
Yeah, your claim was Facebook events are for incels.
Is that what I said?
You said that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then I went on a whole bit that had to be cut out completely from that because I thought I was being funny. I still think it was funny, but it was just
If we
I
cut
took
it out,
too far,
maybe...
okay?
All right.
It was funny.
Well,
I stand by everything I said.
And then we had Instagram artists versus gallery artists.
Which was interesting because that's kind of talking about the weird chasm and discrepancy between how there are artists that have command audiences of hundreds of thousands of people but have zero gallery or museum connections or affiliations. Meanwhile, there are gallery artists that are like in the cutting edge galleries of the fucking biggest major cities in the country that have like one follower.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's up with that still.
I don't remember what exactly I said about this, but I probably don't agree with some of it. But that is a really weird conundrum.
It's weird.
Yeah. But also we were talking on that episode about how, we talked about this a lot, but how social media use can affect an artist's career and the limitations that you impose upon yourself when you're trying to create for those platforms, which is a really interesting chicken or the egg kind of problem to think about.
Yeah, so I don't know how much. I feel like it's really hard to get through every one of these because I want to just like talk about all of these episodes in full every time. But yeah, I do think it's weird. Part of me, a cynical part of me, feels like it's just like nepotism and connections that lead you into gallery and museum spaces. But then I don't completely believe that because I don't completely believe that galleries and museums are some type of negative evil force that only serves like the, I don't really believe that right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is the weeds, isn't it?
It'd be interesting to listen to that again because we have talked to some people that are curators and artists that have worked with museums since in a way that is a lot more intense than we had before. Not intense, but like we spoke more in depth about that and how that works and what it's like. And I think I have a very different perspective on it than I did when we first recorded that about some things. So I don't know what I said then, but it would be interesting to hear and see what I think about it now.
True.
The next episode is Theo has a migraine. Theo and Brian relax in bed, and Theo has a migraine.
That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
That was my exact syntax.
Yep.
What the fuck is wrong with you? It was a short sentence.
All right, no, you wrote exactly in which Brian and Theo relax in bed while Theo recovers from a migraine.
Okay, well that's a better sentence. It's fucking embarrassing me here.
Sorry. And then the next one was sick. I don't know what we talked about in bed. We're gonna skip that one. Frankie Simon's Gate of Heaven. We talked about that exhibition that she had. It was a solo show at Distillery Gallery in South Boston. It was Frankie's second appearance on the show and gives even more depth into her background, inspirations, and insights about life, art, Catholicism, and the world as we know it. That show was up from July 23rd to August 23rd at Distillery Gallery. That was fucking sick. That was an amazing show to be part of. Also, there was a performance by Frankie for the Incontinence Project. Yeah, at that show that I didn't realize was going to be part of it. So that was really cool to see too live.
Yeah, so shout out to Frankie. Thank you for coming on the show again, and I cannot fucking wait to see what you do next and in the new year. So, Gates of Heaven or Gate of Heaven?
Gate of Heaven,
Gate
singular.
Of Heaven, yeah.
The next one is Toxic Friendships as an Artist, which I think was a really cool episode because you used a painting of a person with their eyes clawed out as the cover art. That's fitting.
Nice.
In which Theo and Brian discuss stickers, Dolly Mini, crayon, ADHD, funny. Books, podcasts, bad coping strategies, and how to get by when you're in a tough situation with your community or your friends.
Nice. I'm sure I had a lot of very nice, productive things to say on that episode.
I think it was me. I think I was saying some pretty...
You were turned up? I
was on one of my tirades where I talk angrily for like 10 minutes. I think
those
I did
are cool. I think people probably like those.
Hopefully. Yeah. And then... You think there's anybody that listens to us that just thinks it's wicked annoying when I talk? Probably.
No.
It's me.
And if there's anyone that does think that, I do not endorse you or support you.
Yeah, if you hate me, fuck off.
And your negative opinion of Theo.
Bitch.
GTFO, bitch.
Yeah. Anyway. The next one was the Obama portraits by Kahindi Wiley and Amy Sherald. Which we actually talked about that. We didn't just talk about their portraits. We captioned that because they were on view at the Museum of Fine Arts for a while this summer.
Which was a big deal, because wasn't it one of the first times those paintings had traveled from DC?
It is. They were on a national tour.
Right.
So they've been to a bunch of museums, but they had not toured before. And I don't think any paintings from the National Gallery presidential portraits have toured like that.
Yeah, it's actually probably true. Definitely their core collection. Their presidential collection's so fucking sick. I know, like that museum is like, because they have the presidential portraits section, because it's a whole wing that's just presidents.
Yeah.
Where it just starts at George Washington, and you just walk on through and watch the history of art of presidents just unfold into these, like,
That's cool.
with Obama all the way at the end.
Well, that's kind of what we were
Very,
talking about in this
very interesting.
episode. We went through a list of all of those paintings and the people who painted them. We were discussing them. So that was kind of a fun episode. We also talked about an insurance exclusion called inherent vice, commonly used in the insuring of artworks, and how that relates to artists, collectors, and art dealers. It's basically the concept of you can't file for insurance that covers the degradation of a piece of art that everyone involved expects to eventually naturally degrade. For example, a taxidermied goat. Or a plate of food that's a concept piece where the concept is that the plate will eventually rot. You obviously can't then sue for an insurance claim because the piece no longer exists. You're the dumbass that paid for it.
Or like the banana on the wall.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Stuff like that where it is inherently ephemeral and you can't prevent that with insurance.
That makes sense.
It's kind of a neat concept. We had another episode after that called Going for a Walk, in which Theo takes us out for a walk and Brian complains and behaves terribly the entire time.
I did.
Concept art is Brian playing with a tiny piano.
Tiny piano.
Yep, at a Goodwill.
I was messing around with that because I owned the exact same one for a period of time before giving it away.
When you were a baby?
Yeah, when I was a tiny baby.
You had a baby piano?
Yep, exactly. Next episode.
Wait, is the joke that you had a baby piano as an adult? Because I feel like that's
yes,
less...
I had a baby piano as an adult.
Why does that make more sense than if you had it as a baby? Why is it ridiculous to assume that you had a baby piano when you were a baby?
I don't really know, actually. I don't know why I was so defensive. I think that I sensed...
Like, yeah, I had a fucking baby piano when I was a baby.
I sensed
Idiot.
that you were doing a bit, and I didn't know what to do.
You just didn't consent to the bit.
I just panicked.
Shut the bit down.
Yeah, I fucking just... I had an anxiety attack.
It's okay. I love you. The next episode... Yeah, say it back. What the fuck? The next episode was Salvador Dali a fascist?
Was Salvador Dali a fascist? A little bit of clickbait, a little bit of trying to rope you in. Just talking. That episode was about Salvador Dali and
how he was a fascist.
How he did at least have an affinity for fascist aesthetics, fascist leaders, Hitler himself.
In which Theo and Brian discuss Salvador Dali and the idea of separating art from the artist. Is it possible? Is it useful? Should you do it?
Yeah, and we did not come to an answer or a conclusion on that. It just is what it is. It just is something that sucks to think about. Just a topic that sucks.
I don't like the term separating art from the artist because I feel like it is very loaded, and when people bring it up, they're usually being a dickhead. Like, if you're going to be the guy that's going to die on that hill, you're probably saying some fucked up shit.
It's kind of a well, actually situation. You know, well, actuallys.
It's like, well,
actually,
I really like Woody Allen, so...
yeah. All right, let's fucking move on from this. Let's ditch this one.
The next person we talked to, we did an interview with Ed Newt, who's a photographer.
Shout out to Ed Newt. Great dude.
Something else that was really cool is that we did that interview, and he also, we did a photo shoot with him that if you've seen any of our branding since August, you've definitely seen those photos. It was a really fun time.
Yeah, so shout out Ed Newt. Thank you so much for coming on the show. That was sick.
That was really fun.
What's next?
Trevor Sullivan. We were talking specifically about the concept album The MC, which was just released by Bullpup.
Was it?
Or it was a single on their
exactly.
album.
Yeah, that was very fun, very cool. Always a pleasure to have Trevor on the show. Shout out to Trevor. Haven't done one of those in a while.
Yeah, it's actually been a minute. We should hit Trevor up. What?
Nothing. I'm just thinking, because I was just joking about how we used to just speak directly to Trevor.
Oh yeah.
We used to just be like, "Hey, Trevor.
Yeah, what the fuck?
How's the milk factory?" Anyway, next wherever
where you're listening from.
Wherever you are.
It's true though. One time Trevor said that to us, and it was probably just like an off the cuff joke. But every single time I picture him listening to our podcast, I picture him like stacking crates of milk.
No, I picture him milking cows into glass bottles.
Yeah, always. It's also like 1945 in the time frame that I'm picturing.
He like has like one of those like long pieces of grass in his mouth.
Yeah, and he's like whistling.
Yellow grass.
Yeah.
What is that called?
He's listening to the podcast on a gramophone. Hay? You talking about hay?
Yeah, little piece of hay. Exact yellow, long piece of yellow grass.
Jesus Christ. Are we burning out? Is that what's happening?
No, my phone's dying and I don't have a charger, but fuck
right.
it. Let's keep going.
Let's go rapidly. We're in September. We're almost there. Galaxy Brain Promotion, where we talk about professionalism, promotion, social media, and our new website, which had photos from Ed Newt.
Congratulations on the creation of that website. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Me?
Yeah, thank you for making it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I panicked. Should we really brush by that episode so seriously?
I don't know.
Actually, fuck it. Shout out to the next episode, Allison Darrow.
Yeah.
Who came on the show as a part of our series for the FPAC Open Studios, where we interviewed a few members of FPAC to promote the thing. So thank you so much for allowing us into your studio, for showing us your art and telling us your story. That was wonderful.
That was another one that was a pretty cool studio visit. We got to see a lot of really cool work and see where Allison hangs out.
And learn about comics.
Yeah.
Shouts out, dog.
There's a blog post about that episode with some source material on there too, based on like some recommendations that Allison sent us for comics you should look into if you like her work or you like the things that she's interested in. So definitely check that out too. The next one, this is the beginning of an era for us, was huge announcement in which Theo and Brian go for a drive, grab some food, catch up with a big announcement at the end.
And that announcement was
our first miniseries.
Our first miniseries where we interviewed we did 7 episodes with people related to and affiliated with the production of a exhibition by MFA Boston, which was a huge deal for us because it was the first time we had ever, associated with and collaborated with, a real fucking institution like the MFA. So that was like a great honor to be, trusted with that access and to be like, to interview we'll talk about each one of them individually, but that was fucking amazing. Who was the first person we interviewed?
The first person was MFA Boston curator Martina Tanga, who she walked us around the exhibition and talked to us a little bit about their goals in curating it. And she connected us with the other artists and curators as well. So that was a really cool time. We got to learn a lot about the work and got kind of our first overview of the exhibit. We got to walk around on site. That was pretty cool, going there when the gallery was mostly empty.
Yeah, so honestly, thank you so much to Martina. Like, we were really grateful to do that story and to interview the artists that we did, but we couldn't have done it if Martina didn't say, hey, these two seem cool. Let's fucking let's let it rip. Let's see what happens.
It's a really cool thing too, because I don't know, I don't really like breaking the fourth wall like this usually, but I do think it's worth noting that she kind of took a risk on us. We're an independent publication. We're not really backed or vetted by anybody. It's just kind of...
Yeah, we could have been fucking idiots.
Yeah, I felt like we were. I was kind of shocked.
I kind of feel like I am now.
So when she reached out to us, it was really sick. And we asked her about it at one point, or maybe she just brought it up, but we were talking after we had walked through the gallery and after we'd finished recording. And she said that she just really appreciated that we were an independent publication and that we took so much time talking to people and that we got so in depth. So it was really exciting, and it felt like the right thing to do to then follow up with everybody that we could so we could get as much info as we could on the story, because that lines up with what our mission statement is anyway. And it felt like a real honor that she recognized that and that she was willing to talk to us, and then even more so that everybody else was willing to jump on too. So that was really, really cool, and I feel like was, especially after what we were talking about earlier with the kind of identity crisis of a year that we'd had, that was a huge vote of confidence and really set us on the right path, I think, in terms of aligning our intentions.
I completely agree.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Who was next?
Next was another curator on Touching Roots, Shanoa Baker.
Shout out to Shanoa.
Yeah. Shanoa's really cool. She is in our age group roughly and is an independent curator. So talking to her was really inspiring. You can support Shanoa on Patreon and on Instagram and on LinkedIn to see the kind of shit that she's doing. She works with a lot of different museums and works as an independent consultant and writer as well.
And I'm glad that episode went well, because to be real too, and to welcome you into the behind the scenes too, we were kind of panicking a little bit during that recording because we were trying out a very, very, very new process that we weren't comfortable with yet.
Yeah.
And it went well despite some complications, and we're really grateful for that and to have had her on the show. So
Yeah.
thank you so much to Shanoa for coming on and for fucking dropping your wisdom on us and our audience.
And for staying in touch. Shanoa is somebody who's a really cool person to have in your network, and someone I would highly recommend like connecting with on social media, because she's always up to something cool. She's always connecting people that are doing cool things, and she really is down for the scene. You
Yeah, hell yeah. Shout out.
I still feel stupid saying scene when I'm talking about
fuck it.
whatever. But it's true. It's
Who
true.
cares?
She's about connecting people in the community that are doing like things. So.
Hell yeah.
We also spoke to Karen Hampton, who's an artist whose work was featured in Touching Roots. She is renowned, an accomplished weaver and award-winning artist. Her piece in the exhibition is titled Memories and made in 1990, and it is a beautiful strip-woven, double-weave cotton abstract piece. In her own words, Karen says, "As an artist of color, I have made a lifelong commitment to creating artwork that responds to the lives of my ancestors. My lens is anthropology, and I study my own genealogy. I travel in my ancestors' footsteps. I walk the roads where they lived, explored the plantations where they were enslaved. I am the storyteller."
And Karen was such a wonderful speaker and teacher, and really said some really just educated us, and was a wonderful way to start the series, because we had no idea what we were in for, and the knowledge we would be exposed to. So thank you so much to Karen for coming on and for blessing the show.
Yeah, it was really an honor. And something else about it too that was really cool is this was the second episode that we had done. We've done phone interviews before, but we obviously really wanted the series to go well, and we really wanted to do justice to the people we were speaking with, especially with such busy schedules. And this was the second one that we did remotely over the phone. We were really anxious about it, and Karen has such a established history as an artist and as a writer, and a published researcher, that we were both really anxious, honestly. And she was so welcoming and so warm that it was really, really nice talking to her, and it was really exciting to hear everything she had to say.
Thank you to Karen.
Next, we spoke with Ife Franklin, who is another artist in Touching Roots.
The highlight of the series for me, an amazing episode.
Yeah. And also, one of the pieces that she has in the exhibition is where the title Touching Roots came from. It's a collage assemblage piece that has text in it, and that's where...
I don't remember the exact quote, but the quote, the name of the show, Touching Roots, was sourced from an amazing work that she did.
Mm-hmm. It's in the show as well.
So yeah, Ife is an absolutely amazing speaker, storyteller, organizer, and artist, and a longtime community member of Boston, and just a highly, highly talented and influential person. So thank you so much for coming on the show and for absolutely killing it.
Yes.
So
yeah. And then after Ife, we spoke with Stephen Hamilton, who was an artist and a professor in Boston. He was also in the Touching Roots exhibition. He was episode 5 of 7. And he spoke with us about his piece that was in the show and the project that it comes from, because it's a piece from a series called The Founders Project. That was a really, really exciting interview and really interesting too. You can find on our blog, there's a blog post about Stephen that has a links to a bunch of source material, that both from his website and also just following up on some things that he was referencing with his work. A lot of it is really... it references stories, mythologies, and different historical lore that is so interesting to read about that we didn't have enough time to go over all of it in the episode. So I tried to put some links in there. One of them is a PDF that shows each painting in the Founders Project is there's visuals contained in it, and there's visual references to different mythologies. And though the actual source material for a lot of these references coming from Stephen's website is in a PDF on that blog post if you want to check that out, and it'll give you the link to his page as well so you can see it from the source.
So shout out to Stephen. It was so cool also. I think Stephen is a little bit older than us, but it was really cool also to see another person close in age to us, like doing fucking amazing things and a part of such a fucking legendary show at the MFA, and to be killing it in his career and, as an educator and as an artist. So shout out to Stephen. Thank you so much.
Something, I think we might have breezed over this with a couple of other people that we were talking about just now, but something that was really cool about talking to Stephen, not only just because he's in this similar age group to us, but he also grew up in Boston. So we were talking about some early influences and ways that he got into the arts and people that he knew growing up. It was a really exciting thing to talk to him about that, just because he's pretty close to home. So that's pretty cool. The next person we talked to was Kira Malika Daniels. That was episode 6 of 7 for Touching Roots. She is a curator. She was a curator on Touching Roots, and she's also professor of African American Studies at Emory University.
Yeah, and Kira is an absolutely skilled and engaging educator and professor, and was a joy to speak with and to be and to just to hear her perspective on her field of study, and to be able to ask questions to an expert on something that like I had never been educated on before was a privilege that I don't even feel qualified to enjoy. That was lit.
And to specify, Kira's research interest is on comparative religion, art history, and material culture, and ritual healing traditions in the Black Atlantic, with focus on sacred arts and ritual healing practices among Haitian and Congolese communities. So in terms of Touching Roots, it gave a lot of really important context to just religious references and the role that different objects served. Because there's a lot of pieces in the show that are artwork, and then there's also items, and it gave kind of more cultural background to why those things were there and the roles that they serve. So I think it was a really important piece of context for the rest of the interview series, and it was really lovely to have her.
Yeah, so thank you so much to Kira. That was fucking amazing. I shouldn't be like swearing.
It's okay.
Anyway.
And then the last episode that we did for Touching Roots was with artist Brian McFarlane. This one was really, really special because we were able to do this one as a studio visit. So that was really cool. We didn't expect that to work out the way that it did, but it ended up working out perfectly. We got to hang out in his studio for an hour or so.
It was such a cool environment to just see like his palette with massive globs of oil paint all over it, and just the smell of the paint and the environment, and it was just so like you could just see just the raw expression, and you could really see you could really just see in his studio and in the works how much he truly loves what he does, and just how much care, and like he's a lifer artist. He's a total badass, skilled, extremely worldly and well traveled and empathetic, and was just such an inspirational person to talk to and hang out with. So thank you so much to Brian for coming on the show. That was not what I expected at all, in an amazing way.
Yeah.
So
that
I will say though about Brian's episode, I do take responsibility. I wasn't proud of the audio quality.
Oh, really?
I'll admit it. So anybody who listened to it might make fun of me and think that I didn't do a very good job producing that, but I did my best with what I have in the environment that we were in. So
it was a lovely episode. I think the thing is, and we couldn't have known this at the time, but as we were saying, we're still working out kinks with some of our field recording and trying to figure out what the best format is for us. And there was a fan on. That's all it was.
It is what it is. we take it on the chin. It was a good episode regardless.
It was. You can still hear everything. It's okay.
Hell yeah. So shouts out to everybody involved with Touching Roots. That was the end of that mini-series, and it was fucking phenomenal and a privilege to work on.
Yeah, and I really do just want to reiterate, like, I know we keep emphasizing how educational it was for us and how honored we felt to have been a part of it, and I feel like it can't be understated that all of these people were making a big it was a big deal for us to be able to do this series, especially as an independent podcast that only had about a year and a half on the docket at that point. Really cool to see people, especially involved in something as like large as the MFA, kind of taking that gamble on an independent publication. That was really cool.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Then we had an episode where it's called Brian and Theo Talk About Museums and Other Things.
Yeah, that was a debriefing.
It was for Touching Roots. Basically everything that we just said, but a lot more in depth.
Yeah, so we can go over that one, I guess.
And then we had a series of pretty exciting interviews to cap out the year. We talked to photographer Michael Joseph,
Polaroid photographer of traveling folk of the community of locals and people in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and all around, like, very, very intelligent, like, what am I trying to say? Just a really, really thoughtful and amazing photographer who deeply cares about the people he's photographing and deeply cares about the cultures that he's engaging with. And it was just an inspiration to talk to.
It was really interesting too to talk to somebody that was doing such an immersive kind of photography where it involved like sometimes riding on like traveling on the trains with these kids, really really immersively getting to know people, talking to people's families when the person has passed away, and sometimes having one of the most recent photographs or like methods of communication with them, like really really being in depth with people while they're going through something pretty hard. It was a really cool thing to talk to them about. And likewise, the project in Provincetown, which is a little bit more recent, was really really interesting to talk about because it's more locally based, but also in a similar way talking to people who felt very vulnerable and expressing themselves in such a pure way in Provincetown and feeling they didn't have to be closeted if they were closeted somewhere else. Building that relationship and rapport with those people is such an immersive kind of art making that it was really really neat to talk to him about that and the experience that he had doing that and being that person.
Yeah, so thank you so much to Michael for coming on the show, and best wishes in the new year.
Yeah. And then we spoke with Spencer LaJoy, who is a personal friend of mine and a phenomenal musician. They are a folk pop singer, songwriter, violinist, and vocal loop artist in Boston, Mass. They make music to tell the truth and return to their body as a queer person in recovery from American Christian evangelicalism. Delivering Broadway-esque melodies accompanied by a weathered dreadnought, their performances are equal parts confident, quirk, and elegant storytelling.
Yeah, so shout out to Spencer, who also was just honestly just a legend for making themselves so vulnerable through their art and music and through their spoken, their oratory and interviewing with us and for telling just such a difficult story to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine like how that would going through something like that and then continuing to share it with the world through music and art and interviews is not an easy thing. And to be that person and to go out on a limb and to put it all out there like that, I highly respect.
And make other people feel less alone. That was also really nice because it was sort of a studio visit of sorts. We got to go to Spencer's home and talk to them there, drink some tea.
Lit. Yeah. Good tea. I forget what kind of tea, but it was good.
Purple tea. I never had that before.
Who the fuck knows what that was? Good ass purple tea. Anyway, never mind.
Nice.
How to talk about art, dog.
That's our next episode. We teach you how to talk about art, discuss birthday surprises, the history of factories in America, being paid in exposure, and other things.
Yeah, so
what the fuck?
That's too recent on. I don't know. What the
fuck? Just listen to it.
We got limited time. Let's focus on the real shit here.
There's only 2 left. Chill.
Oh, okay.
Then we talk to Christopher Zetterstrand, who is the artist who made the paintings that are in Minecraft.
Dude, okay. So if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you know I'm a Minecraft stan. I love the block game, deep in the mines. It's just something I do to decompress and veg out. I don't care if it's a kid's game. It's just a nice thing to do.
Everybody plays Minecraft, man.
Everybody plays Minecraft, and it was just fucking... It's not like we talked to the fucking creator of Minecraft or something, but to talk to somebody who was this amazing fucking artist who was literally just was there when it was made. He played like a beta. He played on the first fucking Minecraft server. And then put his paintings that just fucking blows my mind. And to speak with that guy and to connect with him, all the way in Sweden was just a trip. So thank you so much to Christopher for coming on the show and for allowing us to nerd out.
That was a personal highlight of the year.
It was a personal fucking highlight, dude. It was so cool. And I was so proud of that one.
Thank you also for inspiring us to buy Zoom Pro for next year.
Sorry about that.
I found out after the interview that all you have to do is close the tab and then click on the link again. You don't have to make a new meeting or anything.
Well, I'm a fucking idiot.
We didn't know. None of us knew.
That was a little bit harsh. Maybe I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah, not really.
Anywho.
And then lastly, our most recent episode, which came out on Friday, was
last episode of the year. Yeah,
photographer Paul McAlpine, who was, I think, maybe most well known to our listener base as the photographer who has photos in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for photographing Iggy Pop, David Bowie, and Aerosmith, and even contemporary acts such as Blondie and Wet Leg.
Yeah, so shout out to Paul, who was a very, very unique and interesting storyteller who illuminated our minds and educated us on some very, very interesting and cool stories that I never, for example, hanging out with Nico from the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
And just chilling in a stairwell in Harvard Square. It's just things like that are moments in history that just would have been gone and forgotten, or just, I don't know, just it's just Paul is just such a genuine and cool person, and to hear about his artistic journey and his story and his contribution to just the world of music photography was a trip. So we were honored to have him on the show and to really really chop it up and learn about what he's about.
Yeah, it was a really great conversation, and I'm sure it will lead to more in the future. We'd love to have him back.
Yo.
So, yeah, that's been our year.
That's every fucking episode that we did in 2022.
We did a better job recapping this year than last year, I think.
Oh, we fucking did a terrible job last year. It's okay. We were trying out a new format. All right, guys. So that concludes the coverage. Like what our goal for this episode was just to make sure that we do a little bit of light reflecting on the people we spoke to, the things that we talked about, and kind of meditate on, just what we're putting into the world through this show, and also as a way to just thank the fucking amazing people that came into our lives and gave us their stories and their perspectives, and we're really grateful for that, and it was just honestly dope.
I think something too that we kind of got out of this year is a realignment in perspective. I think that maybe not inherently because of the Touching Root series, but around that time and throughout the rest of the year, we kind of got our confidence back in some ways. And maybe for a lot of reasons, like in our personal lives as well as our careers, but I think it shows in the podcast that we remembered why we're doing this. I don't know if we ever forgot it. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think we kind of stopped looking at things in such a negative light and in such a fear-based comparative light, and just started playing to our strengths and doing what we know that we're good at. And that kind of came back to us in people being interested in being on our podcast, making connections with really amazing people, having good experiences, not because we had to earn them by having any kind of qualifications or knowing the right people, or like all this bullshit about being worried about like nepotism or not being good enough or not being in, I think only holds you back. And I don't know if we even realized that we were engaging in that so heavily, but I think at some point in this year we shook those inner dialogues, and you can see it in the way that our content changed and the way that we related to other people changing. It came back to us in positivity, I think. And
also to just to just actually say what's on my mind too. Like, I think that we stepped into a new arena in just the last few months of this year, post Touching Roots, where we have, found connections and access to a kind of new category or type of person. And I want to say this really carefully, because like popularity and shit like that is not a criteria or something that we require. Like, we want to talk to people of all levels and backgrounds, you know what I mean? But recently we've had some fucking good fucking interviews, dude. Yeah. Like Michael Joseph was honestly a fucking amazing interview to get. Talking with the fucking Christopher Zetterstrand was so fucking sick. And to have the confidence of that too, where like feeling like, you know what? Like, we get to talk to just other artists like us and DIY people too, but we also get to reach higher. We're reaching higher now, and I wanna really fucking lean into that. And keep, and not forget where we came from, and keep talking to people that we love to talk to, the same people, but yeah. I don't know. I think that's true. I also think that part of that recontextualization though too is also realizing that maybe higher isn't even really a thing. Like, yeah, that's a good point. People are just people, and some people end up being too busy, having too much on their docket, not being able to talk to you. Maybe they've already done an interview with another publication in the same couple of months. Like, just not reading into it so much and not feeling like, in the same way as like I'm working this job right now, that doesn't mean that that's who I am. Like, I didn't get this interview, that doesn't mean that I'm a piece of shit. It could mean 1,000 things, And the people that we do get to talk to, what we've found is, in the same way that when we talk to somebody that grew up in the same neighborhood as us, that has the same background as us, that's making art and we're selling them in the same avenues as us, when we talk to somebody that maybe has been doing it for longer, has been talking to people like Paul McAlpine, who's talking about photographing Iggy Pop, like, what we keep coming into is that when we meet these people that are good, kind-hearted people that want to connect with other artists and really care about what they're doing, they want to talk to people that care about that too, and that's what we are.
So I think maybe letting go of those self-imposed restrictions of like we're not good enough, or we're not ready to talk to this person yet, or like we can't reach out to this person. Like, fuck it, just ask, and if it's a no, it's a no. But
fuck it, just send.
Yeah, and there is, like you were saying, there isn't such a thing as like higher or lesser. There's just people that have been doing it longer, people that have more on their resume or whatever, and that's sick. I love talking to people that have a lot of projects going on. It doesn't mean anything is like, I don't want to make it sound like somebody is like a bigger boss, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like we don't like just because like fuck all that.
You know
weird,
what we fucking mean.
Fuck
whatever.
all that shit. It's like we'll never be like, I don't care how much this fucking grows. We are like, we just love fucking good artists, dude.
Yeah.
We just love good art by good people. Fuck numbers, fuck clout, fuck all that dumb shit. We're here, we're doing it. It's a new year. So
yeah,
I feel like I feel like I lost the plot for this end part a little bit. Did I make? I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I feel self-conscious now.
It's okay.
Okay, good.
You're feeling rusty with the solo episodes, huh?
Hate to admit it, but yeah, a little rusty.
You're feeling
rusted up.
I feel like you're feeling stage fright. It's just me and you.
I feel stage fright. What are you fucking? You sunning me right now?
Sunning you?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
You're my son.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You're just a little guy.
Just a little guy. Just like 1 feet tall.
Which is 1 feet tall.
Anyway,
actually, that's me as a baby.
That's me as a baby. Anyway.
What the fuck? All
let's
right.
wrap this fucking shit show up.
Thanks for listening to us for 2 hours.
2022, 10, 9, 8, 7, New Year's. Shouts out to everybody.
Do you mean 2023?
2022 is over.
Yeah.
What I was saying. So shouts out, it's 2023. What did I say? Did I say something different?
You said 2022, 10, 9, 8, 7 New Year's.
Fuck off. I don't know what I said.
Brian doesn't know what year it is.
It's 2023. We're gonna hit the ground running. We're gonna fuck around and find out. Do some fucked up shit.
All right, no.
I'm
not. I'm not.
I'm gonna.
What are you gonna do?
Don't do this to me. I'm just kidding. All right, we love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, hit it. Fuck it.
Boston Art Podcast is an independent DIY production by Brian Huntress and Theodora Earthworms. The information contained in this episode represents the views and opinions of the original creators or our guests, and does not represent any institution, organization, or business. Find us on Instagram at Boston Art Podcast, and tune in for a new episode every Friday. Thank you for listening.